Emma's heel caught the edge of the marble step as she collided into him, into expensive cologne and hard muscle, and a steadiness that felt almost unfair. Strong hands gripped her waist, stopping her fall. "I'm so sorry," she breathed, looking up into eyes so blue they felt like a warning. Blake Harrison didn't let go immediately. His gaze traveled her face slowly, deliberately, like he was memorizing something he'd been searching for. "You okay?" "Yes, thank you." "I was just wrong turn, stairs, I'm late." She forced herself to stop rambling. "You always make entrances like that?" The ghost of a smile played at his mouth, only on very special occasions. He studied her for another beat, and Emma felt naked under that stare. Not physically, something deeper. Like he could see the architecture school loans, the Brooklyn apartment with 3 roommates, the carefully hidden loneliness she wore like a second skin. "You're late," he said softly. Not judgment, observation. "You noticed." Hard not to. She fled up the remaining stairs but felt his eyes burning into her back until she disappeared into the ballroom. The ceremony had already started. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, turning everything golden and dreamlike. Emma slipped into the back row, finally allowing herself to breathe. Then she felt it, that electric awareness of being watched. She found him in the front row, sitting beside the groom. Blake Harrison, perfectly still in his tailored black suit, was staring directly at her. Not glancing, staring, like she was the only person in the room. Emma leaned toward the woman beside her. "Who is that?" The woman's eyebrows shot up. "Blake Harrison, CEO of Harrison International. Ruthless, brilliant. They say he's never been photographed with a woman, ever." Throughout the vows, through the kiss, through the applause, Emma felt his presence like electricity crackling across her skin. And when she dared look again, he was still watching. Their eyes met. Something shifted, something inevitable. The reception hall glowed with champagne and laughter. Emma had been avoiding him for an hour, but the universe had other plans. She turned from the bar with her wine glass and walked straight into his shoulder. Red wine exploded across his chest like a blooming wound. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Blake finished, amused. "You've said that already." Emma grabbed napkins frantically, dabbing at the stain, acutely aware of the hard chest beneath the fabric, the heat of him. "I swear I'm not usually this much of a disaster." His hand caught hers, stopping her movements. "Stop," she looked up. He was close now. Close enough that she could see the flecks of silver in his blue eyes, the faint scar above his left eyebrow. "Dance with me," he said. "Not a question." "Your shirt?" "I don't care about the shirt." He led her to the dance floor before she could protest. His hand settled on her lower back, possessive and gentle at once. They moved to a song Emma couldn't hear over the pounding of her own heart. "Why were you watching me?" she whispered. Blake's jaw tightened. "Because I've been looking for you my entire life, and I didn't know it until you crashed into me on those stairs." The honesty in his voice terrified her. "You don't even know me." "I know you're running from something." His fingers traced small circles on her back. "I know you hide behind rambling and apologies. I know you're scared of whatever this is." Emma's breath caught. "What is this?" Blake pulled her closer, his lips brushing her ear. "Something that's going to ruin us both." Before she could respond, her phone vibrated violently in her clutch. She pulled it out with shaking hands. One text message. "Unknown number. You look beautiful tonight, Emma. Did you really think you could escape me?" The blood drained from her face. Blake saw it immediately. "What's wrong?" Emma looked up at him, and for the first time in 2 years, she told someone the truth. "My ex-husband," she whispered. "He's here." Blake's entire body went rigid. "Ex-husband." Emma pulled away, scanning the crowded reception hall with wild eyes. Panic clawed at her throat. "I need to leave." His hand caught her wrist firm but not cruel. "Tell me what's happening." "I can't, Emma." His voice dropped to something dangerous. "Tell me." She met his gaze and saw something unexpected there. Not curiosity, recognition. Like he understood the specific brand of fear she was drowning in. "His name is Marcus Webb," she said quietly. "We divorced 2 years ago after he..." Her voice cracked. "After he put me in the hospital." Blake's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened fractionally on her wrist. And he's here. He's not supposed to know where I am. I changed my name, my number, everything. The restraining order is a piece of paper. Blake's jaw clenched. Come with me. What? Right now. We're leaving. He guided her through the crowd with the kind of authority that made people step aside without thinking. They were in the elevator before Emma could process what was happening. My apartment is on the top floor, Blake said, pressing the button. You'll stay there tonight. I don't even know you. He turned to her, and the intensity in his eyes stole her breath. You know enough. Blake's penthouse was all floor-to-ceiling windows and cold minimalist furniture, beautiful and completely impersonal. Like a staged photo shoot. Emma walked to the windows, hugging herself. The city sprawled below, indifferent to her fear. Why are you helping me? She asked. Blake poured 2 glasses of whiskey, his movements precise. Because I know what it's like to be hunted by someone who's supposed to love you. She turned. What? He handed her a glass, their fingers brushing. My father. He built Harrison International, and he was brilliant at it. He was also a monster. Blake took a long drink. When I was 16, I found evidence he was embezzling from his own employees' pensions, destroying families to feed his ego. What did you do? I turned him in. His voice was hollow. He went to prison, died there 3 years later, and with his last breath, he told me I'd never be anything but the son who betrayed him. Emma's chest tightened. Blake. I spent years building this company into something clean. Something that matters. But every board meeting, every deal, I wonder if I'm just him with better PR. He looked at her with raw, unguarded pain. So yeah, Emma, I know what it's like to be haunted. The vulnerability in his confession undid something in her. She stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat radiating off him. I married Marcus when I was 23. She whispered. He was charming, successful. 6 months in, he started getting jealous, then controlling, then violent. The night I left, he broke my ribs and told me if I ever ran, he'd find me and finish what he started. Blake's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. He'll never touch you again. You can't promise that. Watch me. Then he was kissing her. Not soft or tentative, but with the kind of desperate hunger that tasted like salvation and damnation in equal measure. Emma's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. Needing this, needing him with an intensity that terrified her. They stumbled toward his bedroom, shedding clothes and inhibitions. 2 broken people trying to forget the scars they carried. Emma woke to gray dawn light filtering through unfamiliar windows. Blake's arm was draped across her waist, his breath warm against her shoulder. For a moment, she let herself pretend this was normal. That she was normal. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. 7 new messages, all from the same unknown number. I saw you leave with him. Did you think a billionaire would save you? You're still mine, Emma. Always. The last message made her blood turn to ice. It was a photo. Taken last night, Emma and Blake in the elevator, his hand on her back, her looking up at him like he was oxygen. But the photo was taken from inside the elevator. Marcus hadn't just been at the wedding, he'd been right there with them. Emma's hands shook as she slipped out of bed, gathering her clothes. She had to leave. Had to run. Blake would be a target now, and she couldn't. Where are you going? She turned. Blake sat up, bare-chested and sleep-rumpled, watching her with those impossibly blue eyes. I have to go, she whispered. He knows about you now. He'll come after you to hurt me, and I can't. Then let him come. Blake, you don't understand. No, you don't understand. He stood, crossing to her with predatory grace. I've spent 15 years building an empire. I have resources you can't imagine. Security, lawyers, people who owe me favors in very dark places. He gripped her shoulders. Let me protect you. Why? Why would you risk everything for someone you just met? Blake's expression cracked open, revealing something raw and desperate underneath. Because looking at you feels like remembering how to breathe, and I've been suffocating for so goddamn long. Emma's resolve shattered. She was about to kiss him when his phone rang. He grabbed it, frowning. Harrison. His face went pale. When? A pause. I'm on my way. What is it? Blake looked at her, and she saw fear there. Real fear. There's been a fire, he said quietly, at Harrison International headquarters. They're saying it's arson. Emma's stomach dropped. Marcus. Maybe, probably. He was already pulling on clothes. I need to go. Stay here. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me, Blake. He kissed her hard, fast. I'll fix this. I promise. But as the elevator doors closed on him, Emma's phone buzzed one more time. You cost me everything, Emma. Now I'm going to take everything from you, starting with him. And beneath the text, a video began to play. Footage of Blake's office. Blake sitting at his desk. Marcus was already inside. Emma's heart stopped as she watched the video play out on her phone. The footage was live. Marcus was in Blake's office right now, pacing like a caged animal, waiting. Her fingers flew across the screen, calling Blake. It went straight to voicemail. Blake, don't go to your office. He's there. Marcus is there. Please. She grabbed her shoes and ran. The streets were a blur of early morning traffic and her own ragged breathing. Emma's legs burned as she sprinted the 12 blocks to Harrison International Tower. Security tried to stop her in the lobby, but she pushed past, ignoring their shouts. The elevator ride to the 40th floor felt like drowning in slow motion. The doors opened to chaos. Smoke hung in the air. Water from the sprinkler system pooled on the marble floors. And there, in the doorway of Blake's corner office, stood Marcus. He looked exactly as she remembered. Handsome in that clean-cut, all-American way that had fooled her once. But his eyes held that familiar madness, the one she'd learned to recognize too late. Emma. His smile was gentle, wrong. I was hoping you'd come. Where's Blake? In his office. We've been having a wonderful conversation. She pushed past him. Blake stood by the windows, his back to her, shoulders rigid. The right side of his face was bruised, blood trickling from a cut above his eyebrow. Blake. He turned and Emma's world tilted. His expression was cold, distant, like the warmth from last night had never existed. Tell her, Marcus said from the doorway, his voice almost cheerful. Tell her what you told me. Blake's jaw clenched. Emma, you need to leave. Not until you tell me what's happening. What's happening? Marcus said, stepping further into the office. Is that your knight in shining armor isn't quite who he claims to be. Are you Blake? Blake's hands curled into fists at his sides. Shut up. He didn't find you by accident, Emma. That collision on the stairs? The intense staring during the wedding? All very calculated. Emma's blood ran cold. What's he talking about? Tell her, Marcus hissed. Or I will. Blake finally met her eyes, and the guilt there confirmed everything before he even spoke. I knew who you were before you crashed into me, he said quietly. I've known for weeks. The floor felt like it was crumbling beneath her feet. How? Your ex-husband approached me 3 months ago. He wanted an investment in his new tech startup. Blake's voice was hollow. During our meetings, he talked about you, about how you'd left him, stolen his money, ruined his reputation with lies. I know it's not true. I know that now. But at the time I ran a background check, found your new name, your new life, and I was curious. His eyes pleaded with her to understand. When I saw you were going to be at the wedding, Claire's my cousin. By the way, I thought I'd just observe. See if Marcus was telling the truth. Emma felt like she'd been struck. You used me. No, you lied to me. Let me believe it was fate, that you felt something real, when all along you were just gathering information for my abuser. That's not what happened. Blake stepped toward her. The moment I actually saw you, actually talked to you, I knew Marcus was lying. Every instinct I had told me you were the victim, not him. That's why I helped you last night. That's why you seduced me. Her voice cracked. To what, Blake? Ease your guilt? I fell for you. His voice broke on the words. Last night wasn't manipulation. It was the realest thing I've felt in years. Marcus laughed, slow and cruel. This is beautiful. You know what the best part is, Emma? I didn't even have to destroy him. You'll do it for me. Emma looked between the two men who'd nearly killed her, one who'd lied to her from the beginning. Marcus, what did you do? Blake's voice was sharp. What did you tell her I did? Oh, I didn't tell her anything. But I did send some very interesting emails to the SEC this morning. All about how Harrison International has been using the same embezzlement schemes your father pioneered, with detailed financial records. Blake went pale. That's impossible. I've kept everything clean. Records can be fabricated. Marcus's smile was poisonous. And when they investigate, they'll find your signature on every document. Digital signatures are so easy to forge these days. You framed me. I framed you. Marcus turned to Emma. Your choice, sweetheart. Come back to me willingly, and I'll tell the SEC I made a mistake. Blake's empire stays intact, or don't, and watch him lose everything his father built, just like he watched his father rot in prison. The room was silent, except for the drip of water from the damaged sprinklers. Emma looked at Blake, this man she'd known for less than 24 hours, but who'd already carved himself into her chest like a wound. Don't, Blake said softly. Emma, don't even consider it. You lied to me. I know, and I'm sorry. But I would have told you eventually. Last night, this morning, I was going to tell you everything. You have to believe that. Why should I believe anything you say? Blake stepped closer, his voice raw. Because I've built my entire life on being the opposite of my father. And the first time I acted like him, the first time I manipulated and used someone, it was with you. And it's destroying me. Marcus checked his watch. Tick-tock, Emma, what's it going to be? Your freedom or his legacy? Emma closed her eyes. Felt the weight of 2 years of running, of fear, of nights spent jumping at shadows. Felt the ghost of Marcus's hands around her throat, and felt the memory of Blake's arms around her last night, making her feel safe for the first time since she'd escaped. She opened her eyes. I'll go with you, she told Marcus. Emma, no! Blake started forward, but Marcus was already moving, gripping her arm with familiar, bruising force. Smart girl. Marcus pulled her toward the door. Always knew you'd see sense eventually. Emma looked back at Blake one last time, saw the devastation on his face, the helpless rage. I'm sorry, she whispered. But as Marcus dragged her toward the elevator, she slipped her hand into her pocket. Into Blake's pocket, actually. The one she'd picked while hugging him goodbye. Her fingers closed around his phone, and pressed the record button on the voice memo app she'd opened while Marcus was gloating. Every confession, every threat, every word admitting to arson and fraud. All recorded. The elevator doors closed on Blake's anguished face, and Emma felt her heart break even as her mind raced with a plan. She'd escaped Marcus once. She'd do it again. But this time she wouldn't just run. This time she'd end him. Marcus's penthouse smelled like expensive whiskey, and her own trapped breath. He'd locked the door behind them with theatrical precision, pocketed the key. Just like old times, he said, pouring himself a drink. You, me, nowhere for you to run. Emma stood by the window, Blake's phone a burning secret in her pocket. She needed to keep Marcus talking long enough to send the recording. Why did you really come back? She asked quietly. He turned, surprised by the question. I told you. You're mine. No, that's not all of it. She forced herself to look at him. You built a new company. You could have any woman you wanted. Why chase someone who doesn't want you? Marcus's expression flickered, something ugly and vulnerable underneath. Because you left. No one leaves me, Emma. My mother left when I was 8. My father drank himself to death because of it. And then you, his voice cracked, you made me feel like I was enough. And then you destroyed that. I left because you hurt me. I hurt you because you were pulling away. He slammed the glass down. Every time you flinched. Every time you looked at me with fear. It was like she was leaving all over again. I needed you to stay, to prove I wasn't him. Emma felt a flicker of something almost like pity. Almost. So you made me a prisoner. I made you safe. Safe from who, Marcus? The only person hurting me was you. His jaw clenched. And Harrison? What do you think he wants? Men like him don't fall for women like you. He was using you from the start. Maybe, but at least he felt guilty about it. She pulled out Blake's phone. You never did. Marcus went very still. What are you doing? Fixing things. Her finger hovered over the send button. I recorded everything. The arson confession. The fraud, all of it. And in about 30 seconds, it's going to every law enforcement agency in New York. You're blinking. Marcus lunged, but Emma was faster. She dodged left, hitting send as she moved. The phone skittered across the floor. Marcus grabbed her, his hand closing around her throat muscle memory from years of conditioning her fear. "You stupid!" The door exploded inward. Blake stood in the doorway, 2 security guards flanking him, face cold with controlled fury. His eyes found Marcus's hand on Emma's throat. Something in him broke. He crossed the room in 3 strides, ripping Marcus away and slamming him against the wall. His fist connected with Marcus's jaw once, twice, blood spraying. "Blake, stop!" Emma grabbed his arm. "He's not worth it." Blake's chest heaved, his knuckles split and bleeding. For a moment, she thought he'd kill Marcus anyway, saw him calculating whether it would be worth it. Then he stepped back, letting the security guards take over. Marcus sagged against the wall, laughing through broken teeth. "Doesn't matter. The SEC already has my fabricated evidence. You're still finished, Harrison." "No," Emma said quietly. "He's not." She picked up Blake's phone, showing Marcus the sent recording. "That confession is currently being reviewed by a federal prosecutor, who happens to be Claire's sister, by the way. She's also reviewing the arson evidence, the restraining order violations, and documentation of every forged signature in your manufactured fraud case." Marcus's face drained of color. "It's over," Emma said. "Really over this time." As security dragged Marcus away, still cursing and spitting threats, Blake finally looked at her. Really looked. "You pickpocketed my phone. Architecture school didn't pay for itself. I had skills. You played him. Played both of us." Emma's composure cracked. "I played him. I meant what I said to you in that office. You lied to me, Blake. You used me. And I don't know how to forgive that. I'm not asking you to." He stepped closer, and she saw the exhaustion in his eyes. "I'm asking for the chance to earn it. Why? Why does this matter so much to you?" Blake's mask finally fell away completely. "Because my father taught me love was control. My mother proved it by leaving. I spent 35 years believing connection was just manipulation with better window dressing. And then you crashed into me on those stairs. And for the first time in my life, I felt something real, something terrifying." His voice broke. "I wanted to know everything about you, but I was too much of a coward to just ask." Emma felt tears burning her eyes. "I've spent 2 years believing I wasn't worth fighting for, that Marcus was right, and I deserved what he did. And you made me feel valuable again. Then I found out it was all research." He stopped, jaw working. "Do you know why I kept watching you during the wedding?" "Why?" "Because you looked at your friend with such pure joy. No envy, no bitterness, just happiness that she'd found love. And I realized I'd never looked at anyone like that. Never felt anything that wasn't calculated for strategic value. I was jealous, Emma, of your capacity to still hope." She wanted to hold on to her anger. She'd earned it. But the raw honesty in his voice was dismantling her defenses. "I don't know how to trust you," she whispered. "I know, and I don't know how to be the man you deserve. But maybe—" He reached for her hand, hesitant, giving her every opportunity to pull away. "Maybe we figure it out together." Emma looked down at their joined hands, saw the blood on his knuckles from defending her, felt the tremor in his fingers, the vulnerability he was offering. She thought about the recording she'd sent, the prosecutor who was already moving to arrest Marcus, the freedom she'd just won for herself, and she thought about Blake's confession in his penthouse. "I've been suffocating for so long. If we do this," she said slowly, "we do it honestly. No more secrets. No more manipulation." "Agreed. And you have to let me in." "Actually in, not just the version of yourself you think I want to see." Blake pulled her closer. "That's the terrifying part. I'm not sure who that person even is." "Then we'll figure it out together." She kissed him, not with the desperate hunger of their first night, but with something rawer, more frightening. Hope. Blake's phone rang and they broke apart. He answered, listening for a long moment. His expression shifted, going carefully blank. "Understood. Yes, I'll tell her." He hung up slowly. "What is it?" Emma asked. Blake met her eyes and she saw fear there. Real bone-deep fear. That was Claire's sister. "The prosecutor." He swallowed hard. "Marcus made bail 20 minutes ago. They tracked his phone to the bridge across the river. He sent one last message before." Blake's voice failed. "Before what?" "He jumped, Emma. He's dead." The room tilted. Emma grabbed the nearest chair, sinking into it. "They found a note in his car. Blake continued quietly. It was addressed to you. He handed her his phone. One last text from Marcus, time-stamped minutes before his death. You wanted freedom, Emma. I'm giving it to you. Maybe in my next life, I'll be the man who deserves you. I'm sorry for all of it. Tell Harrison he won. He gets to be the hero, but I'll haunt him anyway, 'cause he knows the truth. He's just like me. We're all just broken things pretending we know how to love. Emma stared at the words until they blurred. Hey, Blake knelt in front of her, taking her hands. This isn't your fault, isn't it? I drove him to... No, he made his choices. Every single one. Blake's grip tightened. You don't get to take responsibility for his demons. But Emma kept reading that last line. We're all just broken things pretending we know how to love. She looked at Blake. This man who'd lied to her, saved her, destroyed her trust, and was begging for the chance to rebuild it. This man who carried his father's ghost like she carried Marcus's bruises. Two broken things, pretending they knew how. Blake, she whispered, what if he was right? What if we're too damaged for this? Blake's answer came without hesitation. Then we'll be damaged together, and maybe that's enough. But as he pulled her into his arms, Emma felt the ghost of Marcus's words settling into her bones, and she wondered if freedom was ever really free, or if the dead just haunted differently than the living. 6 months later, Emma stood in the ruins of Marcus's old penthouse, now gutted for renovation. Her architecture firm had won the contract to redesign it poetic justice, her therapist called it. Emma called it closure. Blake found her there at sunset, hands in his pockets, watching her the way he always did. Like she might disappear if he looked away. You're still coming tonight? He asked. Tonight. The world tilted. What are you saying? Marcus didn't kill himself. Someone murdered him and staged it. Emma's breath stopped. Who? Blake's jaw clenched. They don't know yet. But whoever it was knew about you, about me, about everything that happened. They're still out there. For a moment, Emma felt the old fear rising, the instinct to run, to hide, to become invisible again. Then she looked at Blake. Really looked. At the man who'd hired personal security to follow her everywhere, who'd moved his office meetings so he could drive her to therapy, who'd sat through her nightmares and never once made her feel weak for having them, the man who'd just told her the truth, even knowing it might send her running. So we deal with it, she said quietly. Together. Something shifted in Blake's expression. Relief, maybe, or something deeper. You're not scared? I'm terrified. She took his hand. But I'm more scared of becoming the person I was before you, the one who let fear make all her decisions. Marcus took 2 years of my life. I won't give whoever this is another second. Blake pulled her close, his heart thundering against her ear. I love you. I should have said it before. I love you. And it's the most terrifying thing I've ever felt. Emma's eyes burned. I love you too. Even though you're controlling and damaged and you have a savior complex the size of Manhattan. He laughed, the sound rough with emotion. And you're stubborn and reckless and you steal phones like a criminal. We're a disaster. We really are. They stayed like that as the sun bled orange across the skeletal remains of the penthouse. Two people who'd collided on a staircase and somehow found something worth fighting for. The gala was perfect. Hundreds of survivors, donors, advocates filling the ballroom where Emma and Blake had first danced. Where everything had started. When Blake took the stage, Emma watched from the wings. Watched him shed the armor he wore so carefully and tell a room full of strangers about his father. About the cost of silence, about learning to love someone honestly. 6 months ago, Blake said, his voice carrying across the hushed room. I met someone who taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to trust anyway, choosing to hope anyway, choosing to love anyway, even when everything in your past tells you it's dangerous. His eyes found Emma's in the crowd. She's the bravest person I know. And if she can choose to stay, knowing everything I am, then maybe there's hope for all of us. The applause was deafening. Emma felt tears streaming down her face, not from sadness, but from something else entirely. Something like freedom. Later, on the same dance floor where she'd spilled wine on him, Blake pulled her close. No regrets? He whispered. Emma thought about Marcus, about the investigation that was still ongoing, about the unknown threat still lurking in the shadows, about all the therapy sessions and hard conversations and moments of doubt still ahead. So many regrets, she said honestly. But not about you. Never about you. Blake's arms tightened around her. Even if I'm the reason you're in danger, you're also the reason I'm still fighting. She looked up at him. Marcus wanted to trap me. You taught me how to fly. That's the cheesiest thing you've ever said. Shut up and dance with me. So they did. Two broken things that had learned they didn't need to be fixed, just loved. Two people who'd collided by fate and stayed by choice. And somewhere in the city, someone watched the gala footage on their phone, studying Emma's face with the kind of attention that spoke of obsession, of plans not yet finished. But Emma didn't know that yet. For tonight, in Blake's arms, she was free. And maybe that was enough. Maybe broken things that learned to love honestly were the strongest things of all. Maybe the collision on those stairs wasn't the beginning of their story. Maybe it was their salvation. 1 year later, Emma woke to sunlight streaming through the windows of their penthouse. The investigation had gone cold months ago. The threat never materialized. Life had become startlingly, beautifully normal. Blake was already awake, watching her with that intensity that still made her breath catch. "Morning," she whispered. "Marry me." Emma blinked. "What?" "Marry me." He pulled a ring from the nightstand, simple, elegant, nothing like the ostentatious diamond Marcus had given her. "Not because I need to own you or trap you. Because I want to choose you every single day, and I want you to choose me back." Emma's heart hammered. Marriage. The word that had once meant prison. But Blake wasn't Marcus. Blake was the man who'd learned to ask instead of demand, who'd gone to therapy alongside her, who'd held her hand through every panic attack and celebrated every small victory. Blake was home. "Yes," she said, "but only if you promise we'll keep being honest, even when it's ugly. Especially when it's ugly. And you have to stop checking my phone location every 5 minutes." "I'll try. No promises." Emma laughed, pulling him close. "Then yes. 1,000 times yes." They'd crashed into each other by accident. They'd chosen each other on purpose. And maybe that was the difference between love and obsession. Maybe healing wasn't about forgetting the scars. Maybe it was about finding someone who helped you carry them. Maybe they were still broken things, but they were broken together. And that made all the difference. The end. Charity gala for domestic violence survivors. The one Blake had insisted on hosting, after watching Emma wake from nightmares for months. The one funded entirely by Harrison International, with every penny going to shelter programs. "I am," she said. "Are you still sure about the speech?" "I'm sure." They'd written it together. Blake's confession about his father, Emma's story of survival, raw and unfiltered, the kind of honesty that terrified them both. "He was right, you know," Emma said quietly. "Marcus, in that last message." Blake went still. "About what?" "We are broken things pretending we know how to love." She turned to face him. "I still flinch sometimes when you raise your voice. You still check my phone location obsessively when I'm late. We're both so scared of losing this that we're suffocating it." Emma. But he was also wrong. She stepped closer. "Because we're not pretending anymore. We're learning. It's messy and terrifying, and some days I want to run because feeling this much scares me more than being alone ever did. But I'm not running." Blake's hand cupped her face, his thumb tracing the line of her jaw. "I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." He kissed her, soft and reverent. When they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. "I have something to tell you," he said. "Something I should have told you weeks ago, but I was scared." Emma's heart tripped. "What?" "Claire's sister, the prosecutor she called me last week. Marcus's suicide note? The handwriting analyst found something." Blake pulled back, meeting her eyes. "It wasn't written voluntarily. The spacing, the pressure, all of it indicates he was being coerced. Probably at gunpoint, the end.